Bienvenido, damas y caballeros. Welcome back to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. Remember, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Freeform Network. It is a fall day, great day to get together and talk. We're here at Freeform Radio. My name is Daniel. My other two hosts today is Noel.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good.
And Andy.
It's all good. We're back in Adam. I don't know if it's fall, Danny, because all weekend we've been in the 70s.
Right. I mean, it's fall technically, but yeah, man, we can't be hating on these 70-degree days. I think we got one or two more of them before that really fall weather starts hitting us. But hey, I'm enjoying it. Planning to go out there and do a little fall cleaning maybe after this podcast before football. But let's jump into our weeks here. Andy, like we mentioned in the last episode, that was going to be our last episode before knowing the election results. Now we know them. Give me an update on these election day results, man.
So, yeah, I mean, I just want to go into my day about the election, how my day went. I mean, pretty much, I know a lot of people voted early. They were pushing the mail-in ballots. Me being me, I'm just like, fuck all that noise. I'm going to go first thing in the morning. So, I went to the polls where I live open at 6, and here in Illinois, we already know how this state was going to go. But I was like, I'm going to do my due diligence and my civic duty, my patriotic duty as an American and go vote. So I went. The polls open at 6. I got there maybe 10 till 6, and there was already a line. There was 12 people in front of me. Once they opened up, we had like the town crier. She's like, it was a woman. She goes, hear ye, the polls will open. And I was just like, what the fuck?
She said it like that?
Yeah.
Holy
My
shit.
wife
Like
looked at me
Renaissance
like,
fairs?
I'm like, you're from out here? Is that normal? And she's like, no. I think I'm like, she's like, she's throwing it back to the revolutionary or after the early days, colonial America, where the town crier went around spouting news or something. So I was like, well, I guess that's cool and shit. So I get in there. I mean, it was pretty social distancing and all that nonsense, but not nonsense, but with the shit that's going on. And I voted. I mean, they had 20 machines. A lot of old people, some young people. I mean, the only thing that the whole thing wasn't like always. It's a fucking process. You got to check in and give them your name and you sign. And then you just go vote. But this time, I used to live in Cook County. The last couple of times I voted, they give you the option of paper ballot or computer. Out here, it was all straight computers. And it was some weird fucking interface. It wasn't user-friendly.
Oh, they didn't give you the Scantron?
No. They
Wow.
gave me like a PIN number after you check in. They give you a PIN number. Then you type it in. There's a keypad when you go to your booth, and you type in the PIN, and then it gets like an old school iPod roller wheel, you know. And you hit enter and shit. It took me a minute to understand it, but yeah, I mean it was the experience in another county, because my whole life I voted in Cook County until this year, and it was interesting to say the least.
Did you go vote, Noel?
I decline to answer that.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Well, I did vote. I mailed in my ballot just because we wanted to play it super safe, and we didn't know how the polls were going to be. And from like your conversation, Andy, it seems like they weren't that bad if you get out there early. But yeah, I mailed in my ballot.
Yeah, I mean, wherever your political, views lie, the thing I got from the mainstream media was like, don't go and vote. Coronavirus, it's bad, blah, blah. You know, they were scaring people, so they're pushing the mail-in ballots. But overall, I mean, if you believe the mainstream media, there was really... You didn't hear about this nonsense about people. They're telling people they can't vote and telling people they were shooing people away. I mean, there was waits, I think, but not like in years past. I remember it being more nonsense at the polls. But this year, for some kind of reason, they really didn't. That I read it on my blogs and news shit in the mainstream media. You didn't hear that. It was just about how the election was gonna go, and that was more my anticipation. About how everything was gonna go with after the election, and what I mean, what we saw, what happened in with Twitter and the big tech saying we're only gonna allow these 7 companies say who's gonna be the winner and all this nonsense. So again, it's I'm just wanted to talk about the election process for me, and everything went fine. It was just, I think what's going on now with afterwards, after the election, with the counting and the recounts and all this bullshit, and like never in my life, like I'm gonna be 43 years old in December. I've
Old man.
never ever had to see a state say they're gonna stop counting. I was kind of shocked about that. Like, this is too much. We're gonna stop counting, and then and then you see the numbers, and you wake up in the morning.
That
They
was
started
Michigan or Wisconsin, Andy?
Michigan,
Michigan,
Wisconsin, I
right?
think Nevada, the Carolinas, and
Oh,
now
it
this
was all of them. I thought it was only Wisconsin and Michigan that did that.
North Carolina said they were gonna have official numbers to like November 12th, and Pennsylvania, they said they had there's too many fucking ballots or some goofy shit. I mean, it was I was shocked. I've never seen that, but what's going on, who knows? But
Well, I think with the big surge of people sending in mail ballots, I could understand how the process would be a little more drawn out than usual years. And just to put it out there, I don't think anybody's mentioned it, but Biden looks like he has won from the counting and from the states that that he has won. It looks like he has enough electoral votes, so he's going to be the next president. But yeah, I think with the surge of people sending in mail order ballots, I think it did create somewhat of a backlog where maybe the process of counting these ballots are not as efficient as they should be, just because maybe they didn't anticipate this great amount to be voting in by mail.
if you look at, I saw a stat which kind of just tells you where there might be some shenanigans going on. I think they counted up all the votes in Wisconsin, and they said if this is accurate, that means Wisconsin had an 88% turnout for the vote. Again, I'm fucking 43 years old. I think the highest turnout I've ever seen for any state, something like 65%. If that holds out to be true, if there was no bullshit involved. So, I mean, that is just to that number right there raised an eyebrow for me. So, it's
I
there's
was
going to
told
be
yesterday
litigation.
that there was a state that gave 100% to one particular candidate,
Yeah.
and that doesn't sound believable. So
But
I don't know.
that's all going to get settled into the courts. I didn't really want to delve into that. Yes, Biden is the projected winner. I think that's what you read in the mainstream media, but it's going to be a bunch of nonsense, I think, till January. But going on to the other thing, one of the reasons, the election, the way it was this year is because the word they use in sports is the Corona Bros. That's the other keyword for the virus. But Notre Dame yesterday had a big matchup against Clemson. They beat Clemson was ranked number 1. Notre Dame was ranked number 4. But they beat them. They came back from behind. But what I want to talk about is what happened afterwards. So in Indiana, they do allow fans to go watch the games. It's mostly students, faculty, and parents of both teams. So Notre Dame won, and I was just like, "Oh shit, they beat number 1, blah blah blah." And I was just like,
So Clemson is ranked number 1 right now.
"Yeah, they beat them
Okay.
47-40." But usually after big games in college, fans storm the field. So I was just like, I wonder if this is gonna happen, and it fucking happened. So this morning I wake up and I'm on Twitter, and the whole fucking the narrative has been pushed to, oh, this is look at all these fans in the middle of the field fucking super spreader fucking event, and all these people are gonna have COVID, and it's just like, God damn, man, like this shit just never ends. Like, yeah, yesterday nobody was shitting about all these people celebrating Biden's projected win, and no news media didn't shit on that, but they were shitting on the fans rushing the field. But yet
Dude,
they
what
were all
about all the
wearing masks.
protests?
Yeah,
What about all the protests the past like 4 or 5 months, dude? Nah, that's all bullshit,
that's
man.
why I'm just like the hypocrisy. So yeah, I mean, I'm like, they're not even letting Notre Dame celebrate beating the number one ranked team, and because right away it turns fucking political, and that fucking upset me. But fuck them, I don't care. I was watching the game. My wife stood up with me, stayed up with me watching the game. I was having my fucking bourbon at the fourth quarter because they got really fucking tense. And I mean, good. I mean, that's not good. I don't. I wouldn't have. But I think in the heat of the moment, I think I would have run onto the field and joined those fans. That's something I've never experienced, but I think I would have done it. And allegedly, you're only allowed to have 10% of. Was it 20? I don't know the exact number, but there was a shitload of fucking students there and faculty. It was, to me, I was shocked how many people were there for that fucking game. I know it was a big game, but that there was a lot of people there.
Yeah, because I know the stadiums, they're not allowed to be full capacity. So yeah, kind of curious how much the percentage was there.
Yeah, it's this is in Indiana, so I mean, again, it was exciting to see. It's good that the Irish needed that win and the celebration, but right away Twitter. I mean, fuck, I got to get off of Twitter, man. I just get pissed because there's a lot of hypocrisy on there. But people started shitting on the students celebrating, and then I get it. And the Corona Bros, they were upset, but it's a big fucking moment. It was the highest. It was the first time a number one has been played at Notre Dame since like 2005. So. I mean,
Damn.
it's a good thing. I had a good time, and we'll see where it goes. Hopefully, some of the players did leave immediately. Some of these stayed there celebrating with the students. Brian Kelly like ran off after he shook the hand of Dabo Sweeney. He like ran into the tunnel, and I was listening to the radio for his.
These are quarterbacks?
No, these are the head coaches.
Oh, okay.
And then they asked him, "Where you at?" He goes, "Oh, I'm in the tunnel, man. I got a coach next week." And he's an older gentleman, so he's like, he ran out of there because he didn't want to, be caught if something happens. But I've been reading stuff that I mean, it's students. They have some contact tracing, but I don't fucking know, man. We'll see what happens. But it was a good thing. I mean, good thing for Notre Dame anyway. They beat a number one.
That's good, man. I mean, in the future, they could always do something where you kind of get tested before you get a seat. Maybe like you do a ticket per person.
Yeah, I
You know what
did
I mean?
read. I don't know how accurate it was. I didn't have time to research it. That the students, for them to get access to the stadium, they do have to do some. Allegedly, again, I haven't researched it. I read someone posted that you get if you had a COVID test and it came back negative within that week, they let you get into the stadium. If you don't, if you don't have that proof, they're calling that, they're not activating your ticket. So
Okay.
that's what I read. Some people post, but I haven't asked Snopes, the fact checking cocksucking website, so I don't know how accurate it could be. Because unless the people at Facebook fact checked that fucking thing, like I saw a post that you shared, Danny, got fact checked.
Yeah.
But that's what's going on in my world. So speaking of a little bit of COVID, Noel, I see you got on here. Thanksgiving changes with COVID still happening. Are you planning to have a big old fucking super spreader celebration, or are you just gonna go in your basement like Biden?
So with this Thanksgiving, I'm pretty sure we're not going to do anything special. I was kind of asking around and feeling around to see what's going on. Everybody seems to kind of be like unenthusiastic this year about it. And usually around this time we start planning Christmas as well and trying to figure out because our family, for those that don't know, our family is very large. I have like 9 aunts and uncles all together, and it's in a really large family. Let's just leave it at that. And so normally we have a Christmas gathering where we all get together and celebrate it. But this year, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. People are a little bit more, I guess, anxious with this stuff still going on, COVID. Uh, for the most part, everybody's been healthy. There's been a few people in my family's gotten it, but they've gotten over it, thankfully, and so everybody's getting better. Those that did have it, so I don't feel like it's going to be something that we need to worry about spreading any kind of COVID stuff. But I understand that people are a little bit hesitant still, so more than likely we're not going to do anything. I'm just going to stay with my individual home with the people here, and yeah, just make the best we can out of it. How about you
Yeah,
guys?
yeah. I think we're gonna do the same thing. We're planning to just get a turkey breast and just have a little cookout here at the crib.
Hell no, man. I'm gonna go to a fucking casino and live it up. Um, I don't know. We're still debating. I might go to my mom's. Usually, I go to my mom's and then I go with the in-laws. But this year, I don't know. I know they're scaring people again. Don't go hang out with your family, because the numbers are rising here in our state. But I think we might go. Is the feeling I'm getting right now? That's how I feel.
Yeah, right here, I think the infection percentage or whatever it is, it's like 6% or 8% or something like that. And how is it over there in Iowa, Andy? Where
I
you
mean,
live?
they're high, but I was reading. If you look at the new numbers that are coming out, that's freaking everybody out in the state. They're manipulating the numbers because they're including numbers that they're saying might be affected.
Oh.
They're giving you the number of confirmed infected and what they believe people who might be infected.
Hmm.
I read that on the Chicago Sun-Times yesterday. I'm like, I had to read it 3 times. Like, am I reading this right? They said the last two dates have included people with possibility of infection. So I'm like, oh, no wonder the fucking numbers are like super high. Because yesterday it was like an all-time record from the couple days ago.
Yeah, it's crazy time, man. Everything's pretty much been uprooted. Like nothing is what it used to be right now. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, next year's Thanksgiving is going to be a better one than this year. But as it looks right now, yeah, man, we're in the same boat as you guys. We're just trying to keep it safe. But one good thing that's coming up is Black Friday. At least that you can do online. You don't need to go to the store anymore for that. So, anything on your guys' list that you guys want to get this year?
Yeah, we're hoping to do some online shopping maybe. With all the COVID stuff, money is kind of tight, and the little bit of money that we have, we're trying to hold on tight just in case the shit hits the fan.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, we're thinking of maybe buying get into the wireless Qi chargers for the phones.
Okay.
Get rid of some of these cables. So it's just something that we're looking at that's not too expensive, but maybe a little something to just get our beak wet for Black Friday shopping.
That's cool. A little quality of life improvement there
Right, right.
for your cables. What about you, Andy? Anything on your list this
I mean,
year?
I had like a big list. I was thinking about my phones. Usually, I upgrade my phones every 3 years, and our 3 years are up. But my wife, I mean, they're working fine, so I'm like, I'm gonna try to eke it out for another year. I'm looking for a new laptop because the one I record with was a Black Friday purchase from like 6 years ago, and this thing is dying a slow death. I'm thinking about getting. I looked at Dell on the Dell website. They already have their Black Friday event or month. They have some on there, so I'm looking at that and maybe getting an iPad for the wife, and that's about it. I was looking at TVs for like a minute, then I kind of just backed out of it. I'm like, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with the TVs. I have a 4K right now. It's pretty good. It's nothing too fancy, but it's like mid level, I guess you could say, based on what's out there. But yeah, the new stuff that's coming out, or OLED right now, which is kind of taking the lead. I'm still kind of waiting to see if there's anything that they can improve on it. I know based on the way I use my TV and the way I use it for the PC as well.
Right.
I don't want to get that burned image on that OLED, so I'm thinking of just sticking with a 4K. If anything, next year Black Friday, I think I want to get a 4K 120 TV. So that way it refreshes at 120 hertz. It does
Right.
a little bit of interpolation to so it adds in frames. And so it just makes everything smoother. And I remember, Daniel, I think you had a TV, and it was an HD one, just 1080p, I think,
Right.
uh, in your
Yeah, it
first
was
apartment. I
right,
remember.
right. It was the jump from 30 to 60 when 60 became like the high norm.
Mm.
And I remember when I got that TV, it was just like mind-boggling the difference. And now, like to what you mentioned, the TV that I have now is a 120 hertz, so it's not as drastic as a change from the 30 to 60, but the 60 to 120 is supposedly it looks better, but to me, it's not really something as perceptive as when the jump was to 60 as the norm.
Yeah, I would say for sports, it's good. For a lot of things
Right.
like documentaries, it's good. And even like for me, because I watch a lot of animation, I love Japanese anime. And so you get when you go from 24 frames on a Japanese anime to 60 or even 120, it is 100% difference, night and day. It just looks so much smoother. And especially when you get into like action scenes in anime, you can kind of see like let's say you watch Ninja Scroll. It's a movie we all kind of know growing up. The attacks and everything they do, every motion, it like stutters based on the old frame rate, the 24. You can kind of see like it's just not fluid, but when you get it to that 60 or 120, dude, it's like butter. It looks so much better. So for that reason, I'm thinking of getting a 4K 120 and giving probably my parents my old 4K. But I don't know if that's gonna happen this Black Friday. I'm gonna have to see the prices on these 4K TVs.
Yeah, I think it all depends too on what device you have and are using because there's not a lot of broadcasting that takes advantage of 120 hertz. So, um, yeah, when you put on the demo station, so you can see like a preview of the difference, you can tell. But then when you watch like regular live stuff, depending on what TV channel or what format, whether it's a PlayStation or your computer, you might not actually see that 120 hertz. So, yeah, it's definitely something new and really cool that hopefully become more the norm.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Things have come a long way, dude. Long way from what the old tube TVs we had, the CRTs. And I've actually watched a few videos about CRTs and how they're still kind of relevant because of the way they can the frame rate that they have. But yeah, dude, just the way it's evolved, the technology is just ridiculous. These TVs now so thin, bright contrast, ridiculous. PlayStation as well continuously still evolves from one to now we got five. Five coming out November 12th. So right around Black Friday, we'll see if there's any any systems left for us to pick up. But I was actually kind of keeping my eye on it. I'm thinking about getting it. And actually, I'm gonna take this time to pass it over to you, Daniel. It looks like you have some information on this PS5 stuff going on.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna have that for our article of the week. But let me just fill you quick into what I was doing this week. Um, you know, I've been really excited with football, just like Andy, but not so much with college, more with the Bears. And, with Nick Foles kind of playing shitty right now, a lot of people are starting to talk whether Trubisky should jump in and take over some of the quarterback roles. But I think I think the new rumors that he might be injured. I don't know what you think, Andy. Do you think he's injured, man? Do you think that's for real?
Yeah, I think he's done. I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't really try to trade him because, I mean, but I think I haven't really heard. I mean, he played one fucking play and he injured his shoulder and he's out for weeks. I thought like maybe this is some ploy, but I I feel like he should have just fucking. I think he's injured though. I mean, he's gotten hurt a lot with the Bears.
Yeah, no, yeah. When I first saw it, I'm like, man, is this the Bears' way of kind of quieting the conversation of having Trubisky come back in and start the rumor that he's injured? But supposedly he went for a second opinion and that he's not going to get surgery, but that he might be out a few weeks. So I'm not sure, man. But to me, Nick Foles, he's an all right quarterback. But if you just want an all right quarterback, then why not have Trubisky in there? And at least he's a little mobile and he can actually, extend the plays a little bit.
The Foles is just streaky. I mean, that's his thing. When he gets hot, he gets fucking hot. But I a lot of it's the play calling. I mean, him and Nagy. I mean, you can see them talking on the sideline a lot, and like he knows the system. But I feel like, yeah, I mean, their O line is not as good, but Foles. The only thing that Foles is better than Trubisky, he makes better decisions. But the problem that's killing him is he's not mobile. He takes sacks and he's giving up interceptions. That's something that he wasn't supposed to be doing, and he's fucking doing it. So I don't know if that's play calling or that's just fucking how Foles is. I mean, but when he's gotten hot, he's been pretty accurate and he's been good.
Yeah, what I think is kind of weird that he's actually thrown his coach not under the bus, but he's kind of let it known that, hey, when the play calls don't fit the defense, then I'm only doing the best that I can do, or something to that effect. So to me, that's kind of throwing a little shade on your coach.
Yeah, he's Foles is more up tempo. I mean, we've seen it in his last couple games, and Nagy's like, "Hey, let's slow it the fuck down," and he's just like, "What the fuck you doing?" And then the Monday night game, one of the commentators, I believe Greasy, mentioned that when him and Foles were talking, like when he gets the play call, and he's just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like he's like, we don't have enough time to run this, and they're like rushing to get this fucking play, and it's that stupid side throw to Cordell Patterson or some bullshit that never fucking works.
Right.
And then it's just like, what the fuck? It's just like a total fucking momentum killer, and that goes on Nagy, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I think we were sold a false bill of goods on Foles. I was expecting a lot better, but I'm seeing the same shit that Trubisky was, except he can't fucking run.
Yeah, I think that's the big problem is that, for how much they paid Foles, people were expecting, man, can this guy be, the Bears quarterback from now on? And it didn't turn out to be that way. So I don't know, man. I liked Trubisky. I don't think he was a Super Bowl quarterback, but I thought he was a decent quarterback that can get you some good, solid wins until something else materializes, maybe like Foles. But I don't think Foles is the guy. So kind of tough to tell if maybe he is the quarterback of the future.
Foles?
Yeah.
They got him. I'll be shocked if they keep him after this year. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, they might get Trubisky back cheap. I don't fucking know, but I don't see him being here after this year. Both of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, not sure. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. Got a Bears game later on, so we'll have to tune in and check it out and see what the new deal is. But the other thing I want to kind of quickly mention was the Mandalorian season 2 started up again from Disney, and as of this recording, episodes 1 and 2 have been released, and I watched the first episode, and man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for season 2. It's got the Breaking Bad guy, the Gustavo something, I forgot his name, and yeah, man, I'm excited. I don't know if you guys have watched the Mandalorian or watched any of those shows from season 1.
Yeah, I watched season 1. Yes, Breaking Bad came out at the end of last season, and then I haven't watched the first 2 episodes of the season. I usually like to binge watch it, but I don't know. I've been hearing mixed reviews, to be honest with you, Danny. I don't know. I mean, it's good to hear that you like it. I've been reading that the numbers have gone down considerable, and it's like, the people are not excited about it. Some people, anyway.
How about you, Noel? You watched it?
I have the first one ready to go. I was actually waiting for season 2 to come out to binge the first one and then start watching 2. So I'm gonna definitely start doing that pretty soon. I think once it gets like midway in the season, that way, because I do like Andy. I like to binge through it, but I didn't want to watch the first season last year because I don't want to wait a whole year just to be able to watch season two. So I'm like, let me wait till season two comes out, get a couple episodes in, and then binge it all the way through.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of usually the same way. I like to um, fit as much in and hit a couple episodes right in a row. So um, season two is just so exciting. And the other thing that's got me in a hurry is that my Disney membership expires like in 2-3 weeks. So I'm hoping they hurry up. I didn't know that they were going to release one episode a week. I thought they were just going to upload the whole thing. So I was just planning to binge the whole second season. So man, maybe they got me. I might have to renew my membership for like another month or two just so I could watch season two. But yeah, I mean it's not the greatest so far start. I mean the first episode was good. Don't get me wrong, it was good. Same usual action, small problem in a big universe. The Mandalorian figures it out and he solves the problem and gets what he wants, and now it's off to the next adventure. And that's exactly what I wanted. I want an overall story arc that's tying the episodes together, but then there is one episode, one problem that he has to take care of, or maybe it's spills onto two episodes, but then after that, boom, off to the next problem. But I think that's enough for that, man. Why don't we jump into our article of this week? So, guys, the next generation is upon us, like Noel had mentioned. PlayStation 5, by the time this episode drops, it will be out in the wild. People will have it out there. I, unfortunately, will not have one. I did not pre-order one. I think I'm going to hold off until maybe later this year, or if not early next year. But it's out there. Great article for you guys to read. It's published by Push Square, which is a PlayStation eccentric website. Has a lot of good information based on all the stuff that PlayStation 5 has, all the specs, a couple games, the controllers, and some of their accessories. But just great article to go through. And I'm just going to hit a couple bullet points here, and then we'll just jump it up and open up to conversation here. But the hardware itself, some of its key points is the SSD. People are really touting about that. Hardware ray tracing, the 120 frames per second, which is kind of a conversation me and Noel had a little earlier. 8K, up to 8K output. Even though 4K will probably be more the norm, it is possible of producing 8K output. The new PlayStation proprietary Tempest engine for 3D audio. Like I mentioned, the SSD is just like a big thing that they think is going to take this thing to the next level. Concerning the controller, some of the new key features is the haptic feedback, some of the adaptive triggers, and this controller is one of the first to have a built-in microphone array, so you won't need a headset, even though if you do want better audio quality, a headset probably would be advised, but it's going to have one built in. And then just a bunch of accessories that it's going to support, the HD camera like it did, but it's optional. The 3D audio headsets, but those are optional. The PSVR, but those are optional as well. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff to be excited with PlayStation. I know, Noel, you mentioned that you're excited about it. What in particular got you excited about this next PlayStation that has you maybe interested in picking one up?
Mainly for me, it's always been the exclusives. Don't get me wrong, the hardware is cool and everything, but I'm a PC guy. I've been a PC guy for over a decade, and the stuff that I have in my PC right now is actually comparable, if not a little better than what's in the PS5. I've already been running 4K on the PC, so I'm not like I'm very excited. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited about the PS5, but I'm more excited to play the exclusives than the system itself, if that makes sense.
No, that is a big seller, the games, just because it has tons of first party exclusives and even third party exclusives where they sign, exclusivity deals. But the first party, that's really what's got it, The Last of Us, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn. Days Gone, Death Stranding, and the list goes on with the exclusives. So yeah, that's definitely something cool to be excited about. Andy, anything on the PlayStation front? I know you got a PlayStation 4, but you were kind of late into the game. Gaming is not really your forte anymore, but are you interested or even looking at the PlayStation 5?
Well, yeah, the 4K intrigued me. The backwards compatibility looks awesome. I mean, you can play PS4 games. I mean, I'm not like the greatest gamer, but I use my at one point the PS4 was and the PS3 was my media hub, so I
Right.
used it for all that. The operating system too. I see Sony uh, they're gonna have this new. They were kind of put the article kind of throws a thing on it. Uh, I'm interested to see how that shit's gonna work. Because to me, online, the user interface for like a novice like me, the simpler the better. If we make it too complicated, I'm gonna be like, fuck this. And the other big thing on the hardware side is, I know me and you've been talking about the hard drives lately, the SSD. Um, thing really intrigues me because yeah, I mean, I've had my previous PlayStation hard drive issues, upgraded them, blah blah blah, and this thing it's going to be pretty fucking massive. So it seems to me like they're gonna push the streaming stuff. The other thing is it just gonna put is it gonna I'm assuming it's gonna have a disk drive. I didn't see that in the article. Is that an option, or they're just pushing the streaming and then you're gonna have like a hard media one, physical
There-
media console, or is it's gonna be all in one?
No, there
yeah,
there is going to be an optional disk drive. So there's going to be two SKUs. It's going to be $600 for the disk drive, 4K UHD Blu-ray drive, and then if you just want a diskless version, it'll be $100 cheaper. So you can get that one for $400. But yeah, they're gonna offer both. I think they're saying most stock at stores and most of the stock that was available online for pre-order were the disc version. So I believe that's going to be like their main SKU, but there is disc-like versions available for a cheaper price. And just to throw some quick numbers to you, Andy, about the SSD, it does come with an 800. It's massive that it's very quick, but not massive in size really, because it only comes with 825 gigabytes of storage, which only 667 is usable. The rest is being used up by the operating system. So when you really think about it, 667 is not that much. I mean, the new Call of Duty game that just came out is going to use up like 110 gigabytes to
Yeah.
install onto your system. So
So the streaming one, is that gonna have a bigger hard drive, or they're keeping it the same?
it's just, same thing. And actually, Daniel, sorry to correct you, man, but the price of the disc one is going to be 500, not six.
oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what I said, but yeah, 500 to 400
Yeah.
for the disc
Sounds
to
about right, Daniel.
right. I'm sorry.
You just said.
Right. But yeah, that 600 of usable has a lot of people worried. I mean, and the Xbox is in the same boat because their system offers 1 terabyte, which is 100 gigabytes, but usable is 800 gigabytes of usable space. So, these things are not huge in space, but SSD is expensive, man. So it's not something that they can just throw in a 3 terabyte drive because it's expensive, man. I mean, they're saying that an upgradable 1 terabyte hard drive is retailing somewhere between $220 to $250 for a 1 terabyte drive. So that's a big cost for these systems. So they put in the largest system that they can put in there with being competitive, but you do get the benefits. Just some other quick numbers, Andy. The load time for some of these games. Now, here's a PlayStation 4 games because we really don't have many PlayStation 5 games to kind of compare it to. But some of the old games like Devil May Cry 5, the special edition, On a PlayStation 4, it took 22 seconds to load, which isn't that much time, but it is 22 seconds. On the Xbox One X, it took 17 seconds. On a PC, 11 seconds. And on a PlayStation 5, 2 seconds. So that just shows you how quick it'll load. Where in the old generation, 22 seconds to the new generation, 2 seconds to load up. So that is considerably faster. Red Dead Redemption, which had a really huge, I mean, and that's how Rockstar's games usually are because they're huge, massive open world games. 1 minute and 26 seconds for a PlayStation 4 game to load up. And for a PlayStation 5, 34 seconds for it to load up. So
that's a big difference.
That's a big difference, man. And I think we're going to see that more and more with some of these games. Destiny 2, it took 2 minutes and 56 seconds for it to load on the PlayStation 4, 44 seconds on the PlayStation 5. So I think we're going to see the benefits of this SSD, and I think it's going to be exciting to see what other cool things they do with it. I mean, like the Ratchet game that they're designing for PlayStation 5 right now, it's going to be able to jump from one world to another without a loading screen, because their main stick is that it's like a broken universe. So they're jumping into one universe into another, and that's going to be the game mechanic, is that they're going to be able to jump from like a snowy world, jump into a desert world, and then jump into outer space, and then jump into this, and it's going to be instantaneous without any load times. So really cool, exciting stuff with the SSD.
So what about the PS Now? I mean, is that something you have? Is that available? I mean, they put it as PlayStation Now, and that's their streaming thing, where for the games. Is that something you use? I mean,
no,
I'm talking about it here.
Right. No, I don't really use the online stuff too much, but it is available. I don't hear terribly too many good things about it. I think people are kind of shitting on it just because streaming games like Stadia are not doing well themselves. Xbox is getting into the game with Xbox cloud-based gaming. So it's still newish tech. I mean, it's been out for a couple years, but it's nothing to the point where I think until our infrastructure of internet becomes better. I mean, we even see it sometimes on this podcast, and we're just recording audio, how sometimes our calls drop, or sometimes we lose somebody for a few minutes. That's just audio, man. Can you imagine you got a compressed video, but you can't compress it too much because you want good audio fidelity, and you got to stream that over an internet line, and it's just, the tech is just not there.
Yeah, I mean, they're pushing it here. Yeah, they talk about that about the Xbox One, and then yeah, they're talking about the operating system, like I alluded earlier, that it's gonna be super fast because of the drive that they have, and so it's gonna be. I mean, yeah, I'm intrigued. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it launch day, but yeah, it looks great, man. I'm just wondering, my big concern, and I'm a big physical media guy, if they're gonna push the online streaming stuff, and like I feel like it's just gonna be like a big fucking, just like an Android box sitting on my TV thing there, because I don't want to deal with the lagging and all that other bullshit that came with when I would do some of the online stuff. With some of my other games.
Well, what speeds are you getting for your internet?
I got the low package here, so the highest is 25.
I mean, that's not the worst. That's not the worst. That's definitely not the worst. Compared to DSL here, back in the day, 3.5. You know? I've had it all, man. I've had 56K DSL. I've had cable. I've had it all. So I know how you feel. I think PS Now, what they're going to want to do, if they wanted to grow, is start putting more of the older games on there that could stream easier. PS1 through 3 could probably stream a hell of a lot easier than a PS4 or PS5 game. So maybe that's the route that they'll go. But yeah, I get where you're coming from for sure, man. I'm the same way. Some of the things you said, Daniel, as well as about the SSD, I'm also concerned about that. I've seen a lot of people complain about it because I think most people want to have multiple games on their console. But the way I look at it is there something has to give. You know, if you want an affordable price, then you have to be willing to concede on some stuff. Now, yeah, maybe it could have, a 3 terabyte SSD installed, but you're gonna have to spend an extra $200-300. And once the price point gets up to $700, are you still willing to buy that PS5? You know what I mean? So there's trade-offs, but I'm looking forward to it. Looking to see that hopefully Sony does well because the company desperately needs a win. Their other divisions are not doing so well.
Yeah, they typically don't do well with cameras and TVs and their computer division. So yeah, definitely the PlayStation is something where it's more of their powerhouse that kind of carries the company a lot. So, as of this recording, the PlayStation 5s haven't been released yet, but reviews are out and people are excited about it. They're reviewing fairly high, eights, nines, tens for the system, the controllers, and the games. Um, the other big part is this controller, man. They're touting how this thing is a generational leap. It's called the Dual Sense. It's got a longer battery life. The old battery, the PlayStation 4 battery, had 1,000 milliamp battery inside of it. This one has 1,500 milliamp inside of it. So it's gotten a little bit bigger. But it does have a lot more features. So some people are kind of arguing, well, it's got a bigger battery, but it's got more stuff inside of it that it does, like the haptic feedback, which I'm not sure if you understand what that is, Andy, but it's to give you like a sensation more than just the regular rumble tumbles that are inside of a typical controller where it just shakes when something's happening. The haptic feedbacks are supposed to give you a distinct feeling for when you're in different environments. So when you're in sandy environments, it's supposed to rumble differently than when you're swimming or when you're going over ice and stuff like that. The haptic feedbacks are supposed to be that sensitive that it's supposed to give you a pulse feeling in different regions of the controller. So it's region based. It can rumble at the top left or on the bottom right and give you different sensations. The adaptive triggers, which is another cool thing that not many other companies do. It's where when you pull the fire trigger, like for a gun, like let's say playing Call of Duty, and you're pressing the R2 button to shoot your gun, if for whatever reason the gun jams or something breaks on the controller, the controller has a motor inside of it that will stop you from pushing down on the button, that would almost make it feel like it's broken and stop you from pressing down on the gun to give you that sensation that the gun jammed. Or if it's a bow and arrow, when you pull down on the R2 to kind of pull your string back, it's going to have different range of tension as you're pulling down on the string. So when you initially pull down on the string, it's going to be easy, but the further down you go on the bow, the harder it's going to be to push the button down. It's going to give you that sensation. So a lot of cool stuff.
Have the reviewers I know there's not like a ton of games, but have they reviewed that's what they feel is going on, or is that's like something that Sony's pushing? I mean, I was reading about the controller, about what the built-in mic, the adaptive triggers, the haptic feedback. I was like, what the fuck is this? What you're describing, I don't know, man. It sounds like a lot of fucking hype. I'm used to the thing's just rumbling, but have some of the reviewers confirmed that's what they're getting, or?
Yeah. A lot of the reviewers, it is its key point of praise for the console is its controller. They're saying that, while it's disappointing that the SSD is limited in size, how maybe there's not a lot of PlayStation 5 games out at the time of the launch. There's really not a lot of like exclusive PlayStation 5 games. A lot of the stuff you're going to be playing is PlayStation 4 stuff that you up-res because of the backward compatibility. That the big singing praise is this controller, that this controller is a huge leap, and where Xbox took a different route. They kind of just refined the Xbox controller and made it just slightly better, but it's basically the same controller. And where PlayStation 5 really invested a lot of stuff into the controller to make it better. It's a little bigger, so for people that were complaining about how the PlayStation 4 controller's a little smaller, it's a little bigger, a little bulkier, a little more heft to it, and it's got all these new stuff in it. So I think that is one of the more exciting things because it does bring you into the game. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it, but right now I'm playing Death Stranding on PlayStation 4, and it uses the microphone in unique ways when you're playing the game. And the microphone is right on the controller, and not the microphone, the speaker, and where the DualSense will also have a speaker on it as well. But it kind of immerses you into the game, and it gives you like a different sensation that it's going to be really exciting how these new other added features is really going to bring this thing into the next level.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like Sony's really pushing and trying to get that next gen. I mean, yeah, it's just the controller. I mean, like, I know it's important, but I don't know, man. That's a lot of hype just on the fucking controller. Because I've been like the motion sense. You remember all that nonsense for the PS3? There's a lot of hype, and then it's just like, yeah. But this, what you're describing, I'm like, damn, like all the reactive stuff and all that sounds. I mean, that sounds a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like you're packing a lot into that fucking remote and all the technology that goes with it. It does not sound easy. Like, and knowing the gaming industry, how they overpromise and underdeliver, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot of updates coming.
It might be. They might have to work out some kinks based on the game because, I mean, you can have all this haptic feedback, you have all these features, but ultimately the designers, the programmers have to program the game to utilize those features. So we'll see how they do with that. But I'm hopeful because if I trust any company to do controllers right, it's Sony. I mean, they've come a long way from the beginning. And when DualShock first came out, dude, that was revolutionary. You know what I mean? Who else did that? Nintendo had a Rumble Pack. Like, who the fuck wants a Rumble Pack when you can have it built in the controller? You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just night and day from what they've come from.
No, for sure. I think it is exciting. It's like they're trying to immerse you more and more into the game. And one of the last key points of the system is this 3D audio that right now, as of the release of the system, it's only going to be used mostly on headsets. So when you got like just like your earbuds in, or if you got over-the-ear headphones, you're going to be able to hear audio in 3D space. So a sound that's to the front right is different from the one that's to the left back. So it's going to have that 3D scopic, kind of like a surround sound stereo in your headset. So it's supposed to be really great, man. I mean, obviously, like Andy mentioned, when they hype it, it sounds like the end of the world. Like, this is the greatest shit ever. But then when it comes into reality, does it really feel like that? They're touting that in old games, like a raining sequence, they just have one track, like a stereo track, but it's just one track that carries the rain in one level. And I mean, us editing podcasts, you kind of see that where it's just one level of audio. They're saying with this 3D Tempest engine that each raindrop will have its own audio track, so that they're going to be able to move the rain track to the area that it's hitting so that you could be able to hear it in 3D space. So it's not just going to be one level for rain. It's going to be 100 levels for rain and be able to hear it in different spots. So you can be able to hear that 3D sound of the raindrops hitting.
So is it going to be like the PlayStation VR headphone thing that you told me? Like, once you put it on, it's like it's the shit. Because, yeah, I'm reading here more net. It says to render the sounds into a more natural manner, meaning that the console can simulate spaces of accurately play sounds in accordance to the position within them. So it sounds like if you fucking walk in, you're gonna hear something in the background. You're gonna hear it from the back, So
Right.
I mean, but I'm assuming that you need special equipment or some surround sound shit or some fucking headphones. This is then just gonna be coming out of your normal TV, 65-inch TV and shit.
No, it's just going to be for now. Their larger plans is to have it where it just comes out of your TV and out of your surround sound. But for now, it's just on headsets. So it's on your
Yeah.
headsets or on your Apple Buds or whatever buds you use for
Really?
gaming. So any kind of headset that you have, it does not need to be some special headset. The ones I'm using now for podcasting, it's some generic Amazon basic headset that I have for podcasting, and it's going to have the 3D audio tech because it happens inside the PlayStation and then it pumps the audio into your headset.
What
So
about if they're from the dollar store?
I would assume those as well, Andy. Even if they had a 50-cent store, I'm sure they would carry those too. But the next step after that is going to be TVs. And then the next step after that, they're planning to do surround sounds as well to beef up those surround sounds so that it's not just a generic right side audio, but it's a right side in 3D space. So I think that's going to be a bigger challenge, and I think that's like a kind of like a large scope kind of wish. I don't think it's really going to come to fruition, but that is their current plan. So I think that is super exciting because you're right, Andy. The VR headset or the VR tech that they use, they did integrate sort of a 3D tech kind of sound where you would hear sound in 3D. But it was basically just left sounds to right sounds and then front and then to rear. So it was like a really generic surround sound feel. So it's going to be that times 100. It's really exciting.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
mean, it sounds awesome. That's what I'm saying. Like a big part of anything, movies, gaming, if you have the right audio equipment, like 5.1 or whatever the fuck, it does change the experience of the movie or the fucking game. So that's
right.
why I'm like reading about it, and it's like I mean, the article talks about this and that, and I was just like, I don't know if like your average person is gonna hear that, but I know people who like who watch movies and are like moviegoers, and they have these great setups in the house. They might understand it because yeah, if you have like 5.1 or something different, you could hear all those nuances of noises like doors opening on the right, left, there's shit from the back when you're hearing stuff in the background. I've like, had those experience with movies and into somewhat some gaming in a while back, but that's if they could do that, I think that's a big one because yeah, I mean the audio, it gives you, I think if you have the great audio system, it gives you a better experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then I guess just the last thing I wanted to bring up is the backwards compatibility. I know you kind of mentioned it before, Andy. Over 1,000 PlayStation 4 games are going to be available to play from launch. They're still working on PlayStation 3 to 1 games, but I think that is a farther dream for that to come to fruition. But PlayStation 4 games should be good to go. And they're going to be able to use a lot of the features of the PlayStation 5 as far as the SSD speeds. They're saying how a lot of the games typically that come out now for the PlayStation 4 come out at 30 frames per second, and then rendered at 1080p. A lot of them are seeing boost to be native 4K at 60 frames per second, which is a huge difference. It's kind of like I mentioned with the TV when Noel was talking about the TV earlier. The jump from 30 to 60 was considerable. When you saw it with your naked eye, it seemed like it was revolutionary. And even the 60 to 120 jump that's going to be happening in this next year or so, I think that is going to be really big time too. But we're going to have software and hardware that supports that and really pushes that. But the Spider-Man Miles Morales game that just came out, they're going to have different modes that you can play it in. One of them is the quality mode that will give you ray tracing, native 2160p, 4K at 30 frames per second, or you can boost it up to the performance mode, which gets rid of the ray tracing because ray tracing is a big hog of resources, but it's going to be able to jump you up to 60 frames per second, but you lose the ray tracing.
So if you're running it at like the performance level, I mean, me just knowing, I mean, maybe Noel might have some insight with the gaming in like PC gaming. Like, how hot is your fucking I mean, PlayStation is gonna get. I mean, if you game for a long time, I know it gets pretty hot, but I mean, that's a lot of. If you're putting it with all that high tech shit, you think it's gonna get hot, or that might be an issue down the road?
Supposedly, the cooling system that they have in place is very good. When they did the breakdown, they had a video where they did a teardown of it,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and a lot of the YouTubers were reviewing it, and they're like, "Dude, this is like some really good cooling technology here." And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the vertical position has the best cooling method or the
Right.
best like functional cooling. You can still have it laying down and it'll still cool perfectly fine, but I guess vertical it just allows the heat to dissipate easier, and they have a huge like mechanism for heat distribution, a
Right.
huge heat
Heat
sink,
sink. Right.
right? And I don't know the temperature specifically, but I know on, for example, my PC I have a 1660 Ti, which is a little bit I guess lower than what they have, but it's on like similar. It's on par, and I usually get about 60 degrees, maybe 70 on higher loads. Celsius, by the way. I don't know what it is Fahrenheit. My monitor only shows me Celsius right now. Um, I don't know what the PS5 is going to be, but if it's getting those kind of numbers or less, it's going to be good. It's going to be no problem. One con, though, really quick, I did want to say, because we were talking about the controllers earlier, one thing I've heard of is that the controller is only going to last a couple of hours, depending on the game, because of the haptic feedback. Because there's so much, like some games, for example, have so much haptic feedback, like so much shit programmed in that it's constantly giving some kind of signal, so it just uses more power. And so on those games, you'll probably get 2 hours. On some other games, you'll probably get 4 or 6 hours, right? And I don't know if that's going to be a pro account for you guys, but you might have to charge it a lot more often. Is probably
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It all really depends. I mean, they boosted up the battery size to 1,500 milliamps, but with all the added tech, I think you're right. I think games that really use the haptic feedback functions and the adaptive trigger motors, they are going to use up that battery a lot quicker. But it all depends. I mean, there's people that say the PlayStation 4 controller, like they have to recharge it every 4 hours. Man, there's times I've gamed for 2 days and not had to recharge my controller, and it's rechargeable. It's got a rechargeable battery, so you just plug it in and recharge it. So it might be something people have to deal with, but not really sure. But just really quick to point out on the cooling thing, you're right, Noel. It's got a huge heat sink, the largest heat sink of any console game, and it's also using not thermal paste like most consoles. It's using liquid metal to cool off the processor. So it is something new that's coming into PCs nowadays. It's a new tech for cooling off the PCs that are becoming more and more popular, but it's using some kind of liquid metal to help cool off the processor so it doesn't heat up. So the way it dissipates heat is supposed to be out of this world. They did not want to have any kind of heat issues like consoles of past, and it's going to be exciting, man. I think it's totally going to be exciting.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. There's a lot of tech going into it. It looks like it's a definitely next gen, you know.
Well, one thing I would say with the cooling situation, definitely have it in an area where it could breathe. I actually, ironically, saw a video yesterday about a Best Buy kiosk that had
Right.
overheating issues because they had it like boxed in a small area where.
Yeah, they got it like in a plastic box so nobody steals it. It's like not getting any air at all.
Yep. So yeah, for our listeners, if you end up picking one up, just make sure you have some, ventilation going through there. But anyway, that's going to wrap things up for today, guys. I really want to thank you so much for joining us on Freeform Network. If you're not already, please follow us on Facebook at Freeform Network. on Twitter at FFR Podcast. And if you have any questions or suggestions on how we can improve the show, maybe give you some topics that might interest you a little more, please send that email and drop them by ffnquestions@gmail.com. Well, from Freeform Radio, I'm Noel, and we have Daniel.
Yes, sir. Enjoy that weather while we got it, because the cold is coming.
And we got Andy.
It's all good, guys. We'll talk to you next time, and stay safe.
Once again, everybody, thank you for listening. We wish you a great night and a beautiful tomorrow.
That was cool, Dad.